Greetings and salutations out there. Dave Duford here. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me for another Dave Duford experience. This is episode 4, and today I am doing a little bit of a kind of open mic Q&A type of live stream. This is very similar to the live streams I did monthly last year to much success. Enjoyed it very much. So now is the opportunity if you are considering getting into the insurance business, or perhaps you already are in, and you've got questions, maybe something doesn't quite add up, or you have concerns about different markets, leads, what have you. I am the guy with the answers. I'm more than happy to help out with any questions that you have. In fact, the way to ask a question is quite simple. You'll see all the wonderful people in chat. Hello to everybody. Bob, Arun, Toby, JMR. Thanks, guys, for joining. That's where you want to ask your questions. So any question is not off limits, at least when it comes to insurance, sales, and marketing. So anything at all, you are welcome to do. So a couple of things going on. I figured I'd let you guys know. If for some reason you're an agent of mine, you've done some kind of business with me or continue to do some kind of business with me, and you haven't heard yet, I am doing my first live in-person conference in Chattanooga, February 21st. It's a one-day seminar. I'm going to have multiple speakers arranged, a couple annuity presenters, agents that have been successful in the business, also Medicare Advantage. Have someone from Prosperity Life coming in to talk product. And of course, El Jefe will be at your service to help with final expense-related questions. It should be fun. Should be enjoyable. For those of you who work with me, there's no charge or cost except just getting you up here. And depending on how this goes, I'm hoping to do more of these. So if you work with me and you're in Texas, I'm thinking about going to Dallas, maybe heading down to Orlando after the summer's over, and doing something down there. I got a ton of guys down in Florida. So that is the idea. So if you're an agent of mine who works with me, want to be here, reach out to me and let me show you what to do. Also, if you're interested in watching this and would like some sort of training conference that doesn't make you or have to have you be required to work with me, let me know. Depending on how this goes, I may have some other ones hosted. It's funny, like I was telling somebody earlier today, I can get on YouTube and I can talk all day long. It's weird. Like, it's just normal. And like right now there's 21 people watching. That's probably about 20, 30 people going to be in the conference, but like I'm like afraid of public speaking. I always have been. I've gotten to be able to handle it, right? And it's like a muscle you got to work and flex and train to get stronger. But it's always, I don't know what it is, nerve-wracking being in front, and there's this long, labyrinths and space and people looking, and it's like, oh my God. So anyways, I guess I'm trying to get over this fear of mine to a certain extent. I've done it many times in the past, but it's still frightening. All right, so let's get to the questions. Again, we are here on a Q&A. If you have questions, I expect you to answer them. I expect you to ask your questions. Anything at all, let me help you. Otherwise, you're going to see me up here bloviating and what's the word politicians use when they read out of a phone book to try to, whatever that's called. Y'all know what I mean. I'll let somebody answer it, one of the smarter people. Thank you, Arun. Yeah, you're going to be there. Great. Alvaro, hey, what's up? Greetings from LV, Las Vegas. How you doing? Hey, Chad, what's up, man? Bob says, I get flooded with weekly statements that I see no need in keeping. Do you keep all? Is this from our favorite company? The company we don't name of anymore? I have a feeling it is. I get all those same statements too, and they go right into the round file, let me tell you. What a waste of trees. Man, if the people who are concerned about the environment got wind of how much paper we got that could have been transferred to email, it would be incredible. No, I don't keep the stuff that's just like a running account of what I can get online of like my pending business. Obviously, you want to look out for things like somebody passes away and files a claim and kind of notifies you, keeps you in the loop. So you obviously want to do some of that stuff. but like this, there's so much junk mail anymore that I just throw it away. You know, you have to. I think we all have to. There's just such an inundation of information constantly. You have to just say no to certain things, that's for sure. And I don't even open them, you know, and I work with these companies. Hey, JMR, I'm interested in working with your IMO. Curious about your contract percentages for reps. Yeah, so good question. One quick thing here, you know what I forgot to do? Let me promote this. I'm live. Go here to watch. All right. So contract percentages. So I am not, what you'll find with me, if you look at the multi-level marketing companies, if you look at the big recruiters that are putting out all the ads, they will have much lower commissions than I do, even though they're way bigger than me. Now, why is that? Well, it's because I position my business first and foremost for the producing agent who wants to maximize this commission. But then obviously for some who need help and assistance and coaching too. So I don't have this long ladder to crawl up, or you know, this thing to get better, to be RVPs, associates, and whatever, executive platinum directors, whatever they call them. And then you have to recruit so many people and write so much business. It's funny, like some of the starting levels of commission that I start agents at are like the second or first from the top, you know, like with some of these multi-level marketing companies. And it's just like, I don't know why you would work for an organization that haircuts your commission so much, because this is a tough business. And every point unnecessarily cut is a reduction in your profitability. And profitability does have a connection to how well you sustain yourself in the business. So I always start agents, generally speaking, if they're brand new, 100% to 110%, which is lower than my experienced agents, which is 110 to 120%. There's a few carriers that can go higher than that. Most of them are in the 110 to 120 range. A few are lower than that. I require $25,000 in production at the new, if you're a new agent, to about 50 policies, final expense at least, before I move you up to the next level. And then I don't require a quota. Like a lot of these organizations are going to quota you to death. They're going to expect so much in production. If you hit it or you don't miss your target, if you miss your target, they lower your commission. Not the case here. I am purposely looking for people who are more entrepreneurial based. They're self-motivated. They look at commission as it's up to me to perform. It's up to me to go see the people. You know, I don't need motivation from this ladder to climb up to be motivated, and that want to be left to their own devices. Obviously, get support, help, assistance. Everybody who works with me knows it's very important to me, and I do provide it and execute it. But other than that, not to get micromanaged. All right. Hope that answered your question, Jammer. You're welcome to follow up if you like. Toby, what's up, Toby? What is the typical cancellation percentage on final expense policies, assuming one has done his job correctly? So let's define what doing your job correctly means. Let me give you my opinion. You've sold the most appropriate product that gives the best value of coverage, and you've sold a competitively priced product. Those are my two, and you've sold a policy that is easily affordable to the client. So there's three things. So what does that mean? That means you have to be carry multiple carriers. If you carry one carrier, then you're exposing yourself to all sorts of replacement risk. Why? Because there's not one company that covers everything. There are some companies that do some things right and others that do other things better. But if you're stuck with one company, the specter of replacements always, you know, creeping behind you. It may not happen, you may happen, but it's a risk that you take, especially when you know there's better deals out there. So you want to represent multiple carriers, work with organizations that do. That will greatly reduce lapse rates. The other thing you want to do is make sure you're competitively priced. That doesn't mean you need to have a rate that's a low price leader, but you can't charge egregiously high premiums and expect not the client to have somebody else in the door. Now, I tell a lot of I've told you guys a million times, I tell my agents all the time, the way that you need to sell is by thinking and assuming that another agent is going to walk in 3 to 6 months from now. And he may be good, he may be moderate, but I can tell you your policy you sold is on the chopping block. He is going to try to replace it. So what are you going to do, or how are you going to sell to keep that? And part of the equation, not all of it, is a competitively priced product, of course. I don't think that's undeniable. So last but not least is making sure that, and this is possibly one of the most important, if not the most important, it's making sure the policy is easily affordable. A lot of people that I've replaced with are paying too much. They feel like they're not getting good value out of it. And, you know, it's just too much for their budget. So people will look for ways to save money. All day long, final expense agents will tell you that if you're trying to write a policy that's $15 above the average, you're going to get a much higher chance of being replaced, because that's real money. 15 bucks a month isn't a lot to most people, but 180 a year to a fixed income senior making 800, 1,000 a month is a lot. And it's not personal, it's just business. So, you know, that's how I think you should do it. Now, with all that said, to actually answer your question, not that I was trying to avoid it, just wanted to set it up the right way. 80% to 85%, given that all those factors I just mentioned are met, okay? So if you can meet all those factors, then you are going to have somewhere between 80 to 85%. I have carriers that are lower than that. I have carriers that are higher than that. But the kind of given average is somewhere between 80 and 85%. Hold on, let me turn my phone off here. Doing it live. Okay, hope that answers your question. Keep them coming. Hey, Tom, what's up? Southwest Florida, where is that? Naples? Nice to see you. Filibustering, yes, that's the things politicians do. Thank you, Mr. Morrow. Voice is not loud. My voice isn't loud enough. Am I loud enough? I'm not screaming at you like usual? Let me know. Tweak the volume. Okay, then I will. Here it comes, guys. See, I lowered it down so, you know, I'm not like, so that's probably a lot better, right? I hope so. Thank you for telling me. I appreciate it. It's funny, the mic will spike, like when I say greetings and salutations, it spikes, and you probably heard it in the videos, and it's like, well, if I talk like this, normal, but okay. Let me know if that's any better. Hey, Catherine, what's going on? A little too hard to hear. My speakers are on laptop. Okay, sorry. Yeah, some skipping in the video. Where do we sign up for your training February 1st? Okay, go email me, shoot me an email, and then I will send you the link that will allow you to schedule a time in order, or to schedule a date at the training. So I'll get you everything over. Millennials do not want to see paper. Where does that come from? What's that mean? Reggie Rothwell, leads. I just seem to get terrible leads. I told them that I had insurance. Help. Okay. So, okay, Reggie, I'm going to let you follow up with me to get you better advice. So what kind of product are you selling? What type of leads? You don't have to share the vendor. Are you working? And what are you hearing? When you say, what does terrible mean? So reply back, let me know, and then I'll be happy to help you. Are we good on volume? Okay, much better. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Okay. Chris. Hey, Chris Thompson, what's up? I'm a new agent and want to start selling Medicare supplement policies. Any problem with working with you? No, not at all. I can help to a certain extent. I would also ask you to check out other organizations as well, just because, you know, I would rather you have options. Not that I don't feel confident that I can't help you, but there's people who are very experienced, like Christopher Westfall is a perfect example. He recruits agents. He puts out a lot of good training, and his specialty has always been med subs with an emphasis on telephonic sales. So I would definitely look at what he does as well. We've got a good setup. Obviously, we do multiple lines, so it's a little bit different. Best thing you could do is talk to multiple groups in order to kind of get a feel with who is best for what. Okay, a warm bed is your enemy. Yes, it is. Larry, hey Larry, what's up? Would someone be able to sign up directly with the carriers directly and get better commissions? Why would someone sign up under an agency instead of going direct? Yeah, good question. So here's how I understand why it's next, not always, but next impossible to be directly appointed to agencies or carriers. So back in the day, if we fast or rewind 50 years, the majority of production produced was done in a captive direct appointment environment. Agents had salaries plus bonus, also had benefits. They were employees of the company. And just like so many business models that have just been, shell-shocked by, globalization, technology, rising healthcare costs, you name it, the insurance business realized that they had to cut costs, and part of their directive was to actually get out of the business of recruiting. They realized that there were other organizations that were better at recruiting than them themselves. So they could administer, create the products, deal with the money flow and make money off of that better than actually training and recruiting agents. Plus they could offload all the legacy costs, right? The pension plans and all that stuff. So nowadays, production is about 80% done by independent brokerages that are just straight 1099, you eat what you kill. So, and the other thing too is there's a level of risk control when you outsource the recruiting to another organization. So part of the insurance hierarchy system, I think, is if you have a bunch of downlines in between, you don't absorb directly the chargebacks at the carrier level as directly, right? So, but if an agency or a carrier recruits an agent directly, if that agent goes away, it's a cost to them. Probably small in the scheme of things. But I think that's kind of the reasons why you don't see a lot of that. There are some that will, but they're the very small ones. They don't do a ton of production. Their products aren't necessarily the best. So that's why, if you're going to work with somebody, you work with an agency like mine. So then the question becomes, well, who's going to give me the best commission? Who's going to give me the best training? Who's going to do the best job by me? And that's where you want to interview multiple agencies. I really feel like your goal should be to find an agency that fits your personality and what your goals are. That's why I was mentioning Christopher Westphal. He's a competitor, I guess you could say in some ways, but that's okay. Some people will be attracted to certain organizations, personality types. And this business is tough. And the last thing, anybody who's been in an agency where there was a mismatch will tell you is you don't want to be in that situation. It's stressful. It takes the joy out of the profession. You want to make sure you get a good organization to work with. Hey, everybody. Gary, much better. All right. Let's see here. Good. Oh, man, look at all these questions. Thank you. Okay. Hey, Susie, what's going on? Fort Myers. All right. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to understand this. Yeah, no offense. No, I think it's a good question to ask. I just think it's a risk management and competency issue, really. There was a company, it was American General, like 4 years ago now. I remember when they did this. They had a national conference call January 2016 or something. And everybody got in. It was just another national conference call. They called everybody in. And they said, we're firing all of you, like 4,000 plus agents across the country. And literally everybody at that time had their laptops confiscated, all their stuff taken away from them, and they were out of a job. AIG decided that American General would go strictly direct to consumer or through the brokerage channels. So, and that's kind of one of the few left that do it. Lincoln Heritage is another one that does direct appointments, although you are really working through their affiliated agencies. So, but you're in essence working with Lincoln Heritage. So it's kind of sort of like that. So I guess there is some that are still around. Hey, Moro, would some seniors have an issue if I'm using pre-qualifying checklists only on my tablet? No, I don't think so. I don't think that the technological question is an issue. I mean, when I started out, you might have, people who have flip phones. A lot of older people didn't have cell phones by then, but as I've seen as progressed through the 2010s, everybody now is online. Even there's a ton of older people that are too, and they're comfortable with that process. So it's now to the point where I don't think that hosting or introducing technology is a downside. I think it's a good thing. I don't think it makes a difference, but that means that if technology improves your ability to write business or get business issued, or just make your life easier, you should utilize it. And you can always, if you feel like you're getting somebody's suspicious about you doing that, just show them what you're doing. Say, hey, I'm just showing you, I'm putting down here I keep all my notes on my sales calls with you, prospects, how health is, so I can make sure I give you a better deal, the best deal. Obviously clean that up a little bit, but you see what I'm trying to say. Hey, Melissa, what's up? FF likes to advertise that they give the highest commissions in the industry. What is the gap between yours and theirs, and would we ever be able to reach the same levels working with you? So I won't go into too much detail with this, just not for any other reason than I'll just answer it privately. So if anybody's curious to that, I'll be happy to give you my full difference. It's going to be significant, okay? I'll leave it at that. Reply out to me and I'll give you some more information on that. Hey, Will G, what's up? How long must you sit out if you must leave an IMO that won't release you? You're going to have to sit out 6 months of no production, okay? Now, if you've got downline agents, they can't produce either, okay? I had a situation where I was afraid I wasn't going to get a release. I was getting real hit hard on comp, and I had the ability to move it up, but I had a bunch of downline guys. So I literally terminated everybody's contract, let them know it was going to happen, and then terminated my own because I didn't want to be held hostage for 6 months. So, or I didn't want, that's not exactly correct. I'm trying to think why I did that. There is a reason why, but it had something to do with the release and the ability to move my contract. So something along those lines. So if you have to sit out, I promise you there are other carriers that are good. Mortgage protection, annuities, final expense, Medicare. There are usually replacement carriers out there that you can get through the interim for 6 months if it's the worst case scenario. I remember when I got I got locked out of some good carriers, and all I could write was Texas Life. It's like a little American Amicable type company. And then like Presidential Life or Vanis, a guaranteed issue, and Oxford. That's all I had for 6 months. And I did fine. I did fine. Product's important, but it's the salesperson that makes a difference, right? At least the influence on the client. So, just try not to stress it too much. Just hang in there, and you'll be all right. Hey, Mike, referring to Toby's question on cancellation percentage, 80 to 85%, are you saying that you only keep about, no, thank goodness, no. I meant 15 to 20% fall off. Sorry, but thank you for calling that out for clarification. Toby, assuming one is doing right by the client and working on a full-time basis, how many policies does a brand new agent write on average per month? That's just going to vary wildly, right? You can do everything right, but it may not be the right business for you. You can do everything right and have everybody buy 1 week, and do everything right and have nobody buy the next week. I've had contrasting huge levels of production from $9,000 in 1 week, then 400 the next. It's crazy. There's a roller coaster effect sometimes to production, even if you're consistent. But how many should you do? So I think a good number to hit. Most everybody has a goal to make 6 figures in insurance. So I would think about that as net. Try to make that your goal. So usually what that takes, if you're at a good commission level, you're working direct mail, you probably need to write about $150,000 a year. That works out to about $15,000 a month, or $12,000 to $15,000 a month, depending on how much time you take off of work. So let's call it $12,500. And then from there, you just divide by 4, right? Get your weekly volume. That's about 3,000 and change. About 5, maybe 6 policies. And you need to have about, with direct mail, 20 by a factor of 4 to 5 times that amount projected policies and leads. So 20 to 25 leads roughly in order to hit that. That'll vary if you're using telemarketed leads or Facebook leads. You probably need more just because they're cheaper and the quality isn't as good. But don't know if that answers your question. But that's what you should be striving for. I think the only reason to be in the insurance business is if you want to make good money, or make good enough money but afford yourself the time or the lifestyle that you want. So I would have that be a projection. You may not get there your first year, but by the second or third year, you really should be hitting that number for sure. Mariella, hi. I'm a brand new agent from Miami trying to sell life insurance, and I need some tips on how could I do the first rapport with a prospect by email. You really can't. Well, I mean, you can, but that's if you sell exclusively over the phone. By email, there's no, I mean, it's just, there's no rapport built. What I would recommend is to use the phone and really do the classical appointment setting method, which is just selling the appointment, not the product. So it depends on what you're selling. Maybe you say something like, hey, my name is Mariella. The reason I'm calling is because I help business owners with insurance-based retirement planning. Wanted to spend 5 minutes to show you how this works. Would 10 o'clock or 2 tomorrow work? Just something basic like that. Not a lot of selling of the product, but a lot of selling of the appointment. And then use the presentation to build rapport. Use the presentation to build trust. Remember, you're an advisor. You should think of yourself that way. And part of a good advisory relationship is a relationship, and that real relationships are face-to-face. So I hope that answers the question. Look at all these questions. Promised my wife I'd only be here 30 minutes. Not going to happen. Michael, I want to sell over the phone because I live in a town of 9,000 or less. What would be the best product for me to make 100 grand? So do you want to do renewal-based income, or do you want to make first-year driven? The difference is first-year driven, you don't need to write as many policies, but with renewal-driven products, you can add up your production and then eventually hit the 100,000. But then you're able to keep it without as much production or as much activity as you would need with a first-year driven product. So depending on what you would say there, I would probably suggest either, I think final expense telesales is good. Term insurance is a good product to look at over the phone. My buddy Jeff Root at digitalbga.com does both. I think they do a really good job. You can sell term with them. You can sell final expense. Both of those are great. And then if you want to sell over the phone and you like the renewal-driven side, I would sell Medicare supplements. I just talked to a group in a southeastern state. They've been doing Medicare supplement sales over the phone, cold called. Okay, that's what their reps do most of their business with. And they've got almost 2,000 med subs on the books, okay, in a couple of years. Just all call center stuff. And what they do is they target the more rural, small town areas that just don't get as many agents. So you can do that when you're sitting in the comfort of your own home. And I think that would be a strategy worth pursuing. Again, Christopher Westphal is a really good example of what happens when you build a business around that. He makes a lot of money, has a lot of clients, and it's because he's focused on the med sub market for many years. Bob, when do you draw the line and give up on hard to contact leads using both phone and door knocking? Yeah, good question. So I'm less prone to give up on calling than I am on the door knocking. I will door knock. So here's what I do when I door knock. When I door knock and they don't answer, I put a sticky note up, okay? So I put the sticky note up, which is this little delivery notice. If you are interested, guys, send me a message, davidduford.com/contact. I'll give you a vendor you can purchase one of these for. It looks like a delivery notice, and you write down everything on there. You stick it on the door. Then the client calls back, and then you just stop and turn around and go back and see them and try to get in the door that way. So that will help you get in when you know that they're home. I give up, I don't say give up, but I put lower preference on door knocking leads that are older when I've got newer leads, right? So if I get a fresh batch of 15 leads in, then I want to make sure I work those first. My older ones, unless they're right around the corner, aren't going to get as much attention. Maybe I'll hit them on the next round through, of course. So yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. But don't give up on those old leads. There's always life in them. I've sold, and many agents have too, leads that were months, years old. And it was just perfect timing. All right, I recently started with an agency that had me sign a non-compete. I'm finding they have lied a great deal and am every bit as successful as I knew I'd be. Any suggestions on how to leave? Yeah, man, it's a tough position. I would be looking closely at what the non-compete entails. I'm not a lawyer. Don't take my advice. But when I see a non-compete, it's usually not enforceable. You can't prevent somebody their livelihood. You can protect against, say, poaching agents or poaching clients in a non-compete form, sure. But you can't say you can't sell insurance in a 100-mile radius. That's crazy. Nobody will uphold that. So it's likely you can shift away. It's likely you can continue to sell insurance, of course. But the question becomes, what products can you sell? What carriers can you get? There's probably carriers you don't have that you could get. Probably a move to look. And you also have to make sure you can replace how your lead flow is. Again, if you can tell me more about what you do, if you want to reach out to me, davidduford.com/contact. I'll be happy to give you some perspective on what vendors or lead solutions would be good if you're going to go independent and separate yourself from the mothership. Hey, Reggie. Hey, Reggie, what's up? I get final expense leads. I've tried 3 different vendors. I told them I don't want any insurance. I just don't have faith in my current vendors, what vendors use. Okay, so let me tell you what I'm using right now. For direct mail, needalead.com. Fixed price leads in most states. Very good source of leads. Also, if you want to play with a bribe card, a Walmart gift card lead, leadconcepts.com. Good response rates. You'll deal with more people who just want the gift card than the life insurance. But if you do the right card, and I can tell you what it is, let me know and I'll tell you. Response rates are good and the quality is good. Facebook leads, I've always used, really always the last year, tipstricksandclosers.com for Facebook leads. If you guys watch my leads video for 2020, you noticed that I kind of was like, kind of neutral to negative on Facebook leads. I think they're just so freaking saturated with agents now that our prospects are clicking on multiple ads. It's super easy for them to do it because the form's pre-filled out. There's been a bunch of vendors that have had price increases this last year, and these people are just slammed, okay? Incidentally, I think if you get a good telemarketing vendor, which most of them are garbage, if you find a good one that produces, which the only one I have, Reggie, is if you work with me, I think they do fairly well. So, but yeah, that's kind of it, one or the other, essentially. I don't know any telemarketing vendors outside of my internal one that's worth the money. And I've got some horror stories with telemarketed leads. Hey, Gary, what's the AHIP testing like? It's my understanding is it's extremely difficult. It's more, I'd say more difficult than Medicare or the health insurance exam for sure. But there's a reason. It's a barrier to entry, right, into the Medicare space. It's nice because, you know, a lot of people aren't going to be able to pass it or have the concentration to score the 90% that's required. And so it kind of makes it less competitive in the Medicare space. Hey, Christy, just took the AHIP. It wasn't hard at all, but I did study. Yes, yes, yes. Not everybody's genius. Doug, hey, I've been pretty successful at property and casualty starting 2 years ago. I am life and health licensed and have been thinking about making the jump. Have you seen P&C agents transition successfully in the FE Financial? I know one agent, Luis Moreno, my Medicare Advantage guy, he owns a farmers agency. He does Medicare Advantage and farmers. There's a whole heck of a lot of people that started at State Farm or your local brick and mortar P&C company and realized that it's a dead end. And so they moved on to final expense. So it's just going to come down not so much to where your background is from, but more of the personality of if you like working final expense or financial planning. So yeah, best thing, you know, can you do both at the same time? Can you try one out part-time, say final expense part-time and do P&C? Just kind of keep both feet in the sand? I don't know. Something to consider. A lot of people do that just to see if it's for them. Eric, hey, what's your best video for new agents? Also, what second line product like Google Voice do you recommend that shows business number on the client's caller ID? It's going to be difficult to answer. Best new videos, so many good ones. What can I say? Best. I'll tell you, here's what I would recommend you to do. I would recommend you to go to Amazon, buy my new book. It's up there, Selling Insurance, the official guide to selling insurance for new agents. It's a 100-page book. It's the best starting resource for new agents that want to know what I would say the inside secrets of the business are. It's a very quick read. It's to the point. And I think it'll give you a good frame of mind of really how this business is. And I wrote it specifically for new agents because many come into this business with a false sense of expectations. You know, they're told how much money is just like literally lying on the floor over there, and you just have to pick it up, and you don't have to try, and it's just everybody's making a killing and driving Ferraris and all this stuff. But when you actually get into it, it's a tough career. It's tough. Not a lot of people survive this business. And so I try to address that in that book about how you can survive, how to avoid the pitfalls and all that stuff. Sorry to promote myself, but why not? It's my channel after all. So check the book out, though. In all seriousness, I think you'd like it. As far as Google Voice, second line product, I don't know. I mean, like, I use Grasshopper. It's a business phone solution. I think you can purchase phone numbers. I know a lot of agencies ring Central. So, but I'm not like, you know, good with that stuff. So take it for what it's worth. All right. Hey, Jer. Hey, David, had any advice for newbies about best hours to sell final expense? Great question. The best time to sell final expense is when the sun is up and before the sun comes down. Now, with that said, I trained with a guy named Andrew Fike. He is with Equita Final. He used to be with Ephes. Good guy nonetheless. He consistently wrote $200,000 in final expense premium a year for many years. And he said, I remember on one training call, he said something along the lines of the best time, the prime time for final expense is 2 or 3 o'clock and onwards. Why? Because Mildred is back from her doctor's appointments, either in the morning or the afternoon. And it's a lot, your efficiency in getting appointments is a lot higher because people are coming back home. Now, with that said, most of our clients are retired, so they're home anyway, which is why I was like sunrise to sunset, basically. But if I had to choose, I would be starting door knocking at 2 or 3, knowing I'm going to see a lot of people and run a lot of appointments. Hey, Thomas. Ad blindness coming from, Facebook leads soon, unless branded good. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's there's just so much, man. That's my concern. It works for some people still. There's a lot of people that do it well. I have agents that use Facebook leads successfully. But when the way that you think about the final expense business or the insurance business is not so much is the market as a whole saturated, because it's not. Where it's saturated in is the question you have to ask is, what lead source is saturated with agents? Because only certain people get on Facebook and fill out forms. Only certain people fill out direct mail, and there's only certain people that do telemarketing. But when you've got a bum rush like you've had in a gold rush like you've had in Facebook marketing for seniors in general, not just in final expense but other categories, you're going to invite a lot of competitors to come in, and they all bid up the price of the leads, right? There's only so much real estate you're going to see on a screen. And there's a point where the prices just naturally increase. And there's I think, a tipping point where if I'm paying $20 or $25 a Facebook lead, why wouldn't I just get a direct mail for $30 or $32? Just because there's way more engagement in that lead. They literally filled it out. They didn't have the form pre-filled out, and they had to do a lot of work to send it back. Or on the flip side, if you've got a good telemarketing vendor like I do, why not, instead of paying $25 a lead, why not get 2 telemarketing leads? If they're about the same quality, that's the assumption, right? I can double my efforts with the same money. So I think that's kind of possibly what you'll see. We'll see how extensive it gets, but it is a concern of mine. BS, how are the direct mail leads for mortgage protection? Response rate above? Yes, so we sell leads at $53 or $54 a lead. You tell us what counties you want to work. They're fresh, they're exclusive. You have to do business through my organization to get those. I don't make any money off the leads. My interest in offering the leads is to get the override business. So like I said earlier, I recruit agents at those commission levels, 100 to 110% for new, 110 to 125 for experienced. And it's a good opportunity for the guy that wants to go mortgage protection. Just make sure when you do mortgage protection, the best mortgage protection agents, in my experience, travel a large swath of area. They're just not working Chattanooga, you know. I did a count once in my area, just out of curiosity. And if I wanted 20 direct mail leads a week, I'd have to work Chattanooga, Knoxville, Nashville, suburban Nashville too, on top of that, Birmingham, Alabama, and then the north side of Atlanta. That's possibly a 2.5 hour drive time just to arrive there. but I'll be jumping from one city to the next. And what if I get someone in Chattanooga that sees me, wants to see me one day, but then there's this other person at Knoxville? You know, it's a very difficult business to wrangle. The best ones that I've seen travel. I talked to a guy once. I wish I got him recruited, but I didn't. He lives in Portland, Oregon, flies to Phoenix, Arizona for a couple weeks, and then he flies to another city in the Pacific Northwest for 2 weeks to work there. So he's always on the road, always selling somewhere else than his home. It's kind of I think part of the reason you see some appeal in Final Expense is because Final Expense, there's endless amounts of leads everywhere. You don't have to leave your home. You don't have to stay overnight. You don't have to travel. They're all right there if you'll just go see them. So I think that even though Final Expense, yes, has a lower persistency, a lower face amount or coverage or premium dollar, but still, you can get leads a lot easier in Final Expense. I think that's the attraction. I passed AHIPs lots of times, but you have to study 100%. Most honest guy in the business. Thanks, Brian. I do P&C to try to save Pete money on. Yeah, you know, I had a guy once that was, you guys on Facebook might remember a couple years ago, there was a guy that would sell satellite packages. So our clients are paying like $300 a month for their DirecTV or whatever. And so he would go in there and broker another deal where reduce the premium or reduce the fees there and then take that money to pay for life insurance. It's kind of funny. But yeah, you're essentially what you're talking about is the found money technique, right? You know, if you can find money, it's easier to sell insurance, right? So if you can reduce someone's bill from $600 a quarter or $600 a semi-annual to $400, that's $400 in savings a year. That could be a good life insurance policy, right? Or critical illness. It's a good strategy. Key thing is you got to be good at handling different types of lines of business. You know, that's kind of difficult in the beginning, right? Because you're just learning one thing, that's hard enough. But trying multiple ones can be difficult. But as you get experience, it gets easier. JMR, Magic Jack allows you to change your caller ID whenever you want. Really? Wow, okay. Meaning change the name, business name, or personal name. Okay. I have 2 lines, 2 phones. That's true. Last call for questions here before I wrap this thing up. Morrow, speaking of surviving, can you talk about the mental game of how not to get beat in the mental game? Or at least the best practices by agent killers. Okay. It's a good question. And it's always easier to suggest what I'm about to say when you're not facing adversity. But adversity is what makes you stronger, right? Adversity is our best teacher. And while nobody with any sanity would welcome adversity, it's always a struggle. It's always a frustration. It is something that we have to be thankful for many things because, first of all, it defines our character, right? It shows us who we really are. And if we really are passionate or care about being successful or making something of ourselves, how you respond to adversity is really the litmus test, right? The other thing, too, is that adversity acts like a obstacle or barrier to entry. I know that my competition, first-year competition, is gone. 9 out of 10 of them are gone in the first year because they can't handle rude prospects. They can't handle doors slammed in their face, not talking people who are disrespectful to them. They just can't handle the emotional turmoil. And they can't manage themselves through the difficulties. Most people can't. It's a tough job. It's a tough profession. But I know that I can because I've done it for long enough. And because I can survive, I will survive. So I don't know if that helps, Morrow. I remember reading from, it was Al Granum or one of these legendary insurance books things over here. The key to success in insurance business is surviving. It really is. I think if you can hang on and you can find a way to make it work and you're dedicated to helping people and you're dedicated to making yourself into something, eventually the adversity relaxes and you'll find that there comes an ease from the business. That's a simplified approach, or I don't say easy, but it eases off the intensity of the adversity. Hope that helps. All right. You're welcome, Jer. Yes, Facebook is so saturated, 100%, 100%. It is, I think it's even, it's funny, I was talking to a guy in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and he's seeing the same people send in the ads a lot. And it just gets tiring after a while, of course. You got to switch it up, no doubt. Yeah, Deborah says, can you repeat training information? Oh boy, what training information are you talking about? Reply back quickly if you can, because I'm about to wrap this up. Sherry, how do you sell any product on the phone without yeah, there's tons of carriers that don't care about a written application. In the final expense business, we can do telephonic voice authorization. So we do it all over the phone. They record it on a recorded line and they turn it into a policy. The client verbally signs as well. Totally legit practice. It works very well. Or e-app if you're face-to-face. Still no phone required for that. Or you can just mail them an application like a lot of Medicare policies will let you do. So you don't have to have a direct phone line connection. All right, I'm going to try to guess your question. Can you repeat training information? If you're talking of February, thank you. There you go. Perfect. So what I'm talking about is I've got a one-day conference call for my agents only in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's Friday, February 21st, starts at 9 o'clock, ends at 4. We've got several speakers, including myself, to talk final expense, 2 annuity producers, longtime annuity producers, to help kind of conceptualize the ability to sell annuities, representative from Prosperity Life Group to talk about the new Vista final expense product. Also, we are bringing in Luis Moreno to talk Medicare Advantage and how to get into that market, and then we're going to do a Q&A at the end. Excuse me. It is free to my agents. You just got to pay your way to get here. So if you guys are listening to this and you're just joining, and I forgot to tell you that we're doing this, and you want to, reach out to me, davidduford.com/contact, or send me an email. And I will get you the registration form so that we get you set up. Good. Faithful. Hello, sorry for the late question. What do I place on my business card as an independent agent working with an IMO? Do I list the IMO? Yeah, great question. In short, no. I would list your name, and what I've always done, trying to see if I've got a card laying around here somewhere. I do. Look at this. Hold on one second. I gotta hide a few things on here. Okay. You never know who's out there in the internet. All right, so check this out. Let me see if I can get this right. All right, you see this here? This is my card, right? So this is what I've always used. I've used this probably for like the past, 5 years. Mr. Mugshot, still kind of looks like me, 5 years. So that's probably like 8 years ago. I look better anyway. I should update it. And then you can just see here, life insurance agent. And at the time I put Medicare agent down because I thought, well, I may want to sell Medicare and just get it on the card. Just cost a bunch of money, so I might as well throw it on there. I also put my phone number and email if you're curious. I erase those. And then below that, where I'm licensed. That's all. Oh, most important side of the card, right here. You know what this is? It's a magnet. It sticks on people's fridges. People love sticking crap on their fridge. And I can tell you from personal experience, your clients are going to lose your paper business cards in the hoard pile. So if you get a card and you get a magnet on the back, you say, hey, I got your card here. I'm going to stick this bad boy on the fridge. And then you're always there. So they always see you, they always remember you. And if there's ever any questions, issues, you're right there in reach that you can help them out. Magnet on the back. That's correct. All right, guys. So, of course, I'll end this with, if you're interested in working in my agency, yes, I do recruit. I'm very bad about self-promotion, but in case you were confused, yes, I recruit agents nationally, predominantly in final expense, annuities, Medicare, and mortgage protection. If you'd like to learn more, there's a link at the bottom of this video below. Click that link. That'll take you to an overview page of how my programs work. Where you can just find out about commissions, carriers, the processes, so on and so forth. So check it out. If I can help, you are always welcome to reach out. One of the things that has made me successful in this business, and the thing I try to do a lot more of, is give my knowledge, experience, wisdom to anybody who needs the help. I help a lot of people out I take phone calls from people who I never do business with. I truly believe that there is like a karmic force in the universe, that it's not tit for tat, it's not immediate, but it's like, I like to joke around, I'm building my treasures in heaven. There is something to that. So if you're getting started, you want to talk to me, you can talk to me, okay? Just shoot me a message on davidduford.com/contact. Let me know. We can set a time. Again, I don't expect anything except just to leave you hopefully with some perspective. Of course, the great strategy, and this works for all of us too, is that strategy long term, it's not instantaneous, and you'll be tempted to deviate from it. That strategy long term, I believe, leads to real wealth, wealth of helping people, making a difference in people's lives, and feeling good about what you do without compromising your principles. Yeah, okay, look, more questions coming here. I'll hit them up here. Dutch, can you sell Medicare from an office? Absolutely. I was talking earlier, I know a group that sold several thousand med sups from an office in the Southeast, and they've done all over the nation, so yes. Basically meaning, can a person start a business? Yeah, absolutely. You can go home to home. You can do it from home. You can get an office, create a small call center. Absolutely. It is a great business to be in if you've got a good business model, you got good leads, you got good training, and good people. You are welcome, JMR. Joel, thank you. Hope you're doing well. Nice talking to you earlier today. And that's it for me. I shall see you guys at a later date. Next week, we're going to do another one of these live streams. I should have somebody on the line to interview, so it should be interesting. So make sure you check that out. Otherwise, I'm done. All right. Now I'm going to jiu-jitsu. See ya.